10 years, but
probably didn't change.
in years past, I have. I've even done seminars there, and I've never run into people with more of an attitude.
Right.
And I understood then, and I understand now where the attitude comes from. The attitude comes because they're trying to defend a position that they can't defend. And they've been granted this authority and rank that's based on something fake. And when you start to reveal to them that it's all make-believe, there's one of two things that a human being is going to do. They're either just going to drop it and go on to something healthy, or they're going to dig down, and that's not good for people, and it's not good for their personalities, and tends to make people insecure, and they puff out their chest, and it's all kind of silly, but it's predictable. And in a jiu-jitsu school, if it's a bad school, of course, you can see the same type of behavior. But if you go into a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu school, generally speaking, most of the instructors are fairly humble, because a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu school, by definition, they're rolling with their students all the time. I mean, they're going to roll with you. They're going to train with you. And we're all rolling together, and sometimes we all get tapped, and there isn't that fake position that you have to defend. But that is the trajectory of the argument. It starts with, okay, it works. Maybe it doesn't work, but it's useful. Okay, maybe there's no use that we can't get from functional martial arts, but you guys are assholes. That's how it goes. And there's only 3 forms of pseudo-evidence that they ever bring up. The first one is anecdotal stories. Well, O-sensei back in the day, dodged a bullet, and then he took these 2 guys, and it's always that. And then the second one is an argument from authority, which is almost like the first one. Well, such and such sensei said this, so this must be true. And well, what's such and such sensei's? Aside from the fact that argument from authority is a fallacy,
right?
Why is he an authority? And then you go back to the anecdotal story, right?
Yeah.
And that's really all there is. The third one that they'll bring up after that is they'll create some form of taboo. And this gets into the topic that you wanted to talk about today. There's a couple different kinds of taboos that people will bring up, but they will try and make the questioning of it taboo, whether they say you're being disrespectful to the instructor, or they'll say, well, this is something that can't be tested. And what they want to do is they want to take the superstition that they're promoting, and they want to take it out of the realm of something that can be tested empirically. And so they try and create a taboo around testing it empirically. And that's all they've got. I've never heard any other kind of evidence for it. I see the same progression every single time. And my big problem with the argument, it works as an easy argument to fix if somebody's willing to test it. My big problem with it doesn't work like that, but it's useful, is because it usually is also coupled with deep dishonesty, right? Because they'll say that to me. Like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I walk into the school, they're like, well, we don't really do Aikido for fighting, But when I'm not there, is that what they're saying to these students, right? Is that what they're saying? And the thing that it reminds me all of this reminds me so much of religion. But that piece in particular reminds me of the dishonest preacher or the dishonest mullah, or whatever it is, who will stand in front of the congregation and read from the book of Genesis as if it's a news report, knowing full well that the majority of the congregation, well-intentioned, sincere people, believe Adam and Eve were real people, and that Noah's Ark, really, the world flooded and it was really Noah and the 2 animals. They believe that. And they teach it as if it's true, and they'll talk to those people as if it's true. And then when they wind up having to talk to an evolutionary scientist or a geologist or something like that, they're like, oh, well, it's all a metaphor.
Right.
And it's so condescending. It's so deeply condescending. And there's no way that I can view that as being healthy for them, because they spend a good percentage of their life being inauthentic and lying to people. And there's no way I can view that as being healthy for their congregation either.